Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is Doc ID, and today we have a really good topic. We're going to talk about herd immunity. This is a good topic. We need to know, especially to get rid of coronavirus, as to how to tackle it. It's just not about wearing masks and social distance and the vaccine itself. It's going to be a combination of things. So topics coming up, and don't forget to subscribe down there. That's gonna keep letting you know about these interesting topics that we're gonna come up. Alright guys, so let's get right into it. So herd immunity, this was an article that came out in JAMA in October of 2020. So herd immunity is also known as indirect protection, community immunity, or community protection. It actually refers to the protection of susceptible individuals against an infection when a sufficiently large proportion of immune individuals exist in a population. Which then takes us to herd immunity threshold, and that is defined as the proportion of individuals in a population who, having acquired immunity, can no longer participate in the chain of transmission. So if the proportion of the immune individuals in a population is above this threshold, current outbreaks will extinguish and endemic transmission of the pathogen will be interrupted. So in the simplest model, herd immunity threshold depends on what we call the basic reproduction number. That means the average number of persons infected by an infected person in a fully susceptible population, and this is calculated as 1 minus 1 over RO, which is the reproduction number. And we go on to this figure that I've put up. So the effective reproduction number incorporates partially immune populations and accounts for dynamic changes in the proportion of susceptible individuals in a population, such as seen during an outbreak or following mass immunization. So let's take this figure that you're seeing, and I'll show you. So a highly communicable pathogen. So if you go on to measles, where you can see is approximately above the 90%, will have a high RO, which is that bottom line that you see between 12 to 18. And a higher proportion of the population must be immune to decrease sustained transmission. So unfortunately, since the beginning of SARS coronavirus 2 pandemic, most of the studies estimated the SARS coronavirus to be in the range of 2 to 3. So assuming no population immunity and that all individuals are equally susceptible and equally infectious, the herd immunity threshold for SARS coronavirus 2 would be expected to range between 50 and 67% in the absence of any interventions. So which takes us to the next thing, duration of protection. Obviously, for both naturally acquired and vaccine-induced immunity, the durability of immune memory is a critical factor in determining population-level protection and sustaining herd immunity. So as from what we saw from the graph, in the case of like measles, varicella, and rubella, long-term immunity has been achieved both with infection as well vaccination. Unfortunately, with seasonal coronaviruses, that's not coronavirus 19, durable immunity has not been observed or has been very short-lived. For infections that produce transient immunity, the pool of susceptible individuals soon increases in the absence of a vaccine, and unfortunately, outbreaks, they start to reappear. But with an effective vaccine and vaccine program, herd immunity can be sustained even if its periodic vaccination is required to do so, and outbreaks can be curtailed as long as the community maintains the necessary levels. So now we go on to role of heterogeneity. Nominal herd immunity thresholds assume random mixing between individuals in a population. Unfortunately, daily life is more complicated. Some individuals mix around randomly, and some individuals have higher number of interactions than others. Interestingly, empirically validated network models have shown that individuals who have higher number of interactions get infected earlier in outbreaks. This may contribute to slowing of community spread of an infection before reaching the nominal herd immunity threshold. However, There's uncertainty regarding the precise effect of heterogeneity in social mixing on herd immunity against SARS coronavirus 2. That takes us to T cell cross reactivity. T cells are very, very important mediators of immunity. So what they are, a T cell is a type of a lymphocyte or a white blood cell which is involved in the function of the immune system. T cells can bind to various cells in the body to kill off infected cells and attack antigens which would cause someone to get sick. And this is what kind of is in the vaccine, and we'll talk about the vaccine in my next video after this one. There was also talk about infection-based herd immunity as a policy. So, for example, letting the low-risk groups becoming infected while sequestering the susceptible groups. But unfortunately, this had a lot of risks is what it is. For example, a new pathogen will result in substantial mortality because most, if not all, of the population would not have immunity to the pathogen. So if you sequester the high-risk populations, it is impractical because infections that initially transmit in low mortality populations can spread to high mortality populations. The population of the United States is 330 million. And based on that, the WHO estimates an infection fatality rate is the number of deaths from a specific cause, a disease with a high fatality rate. They are saying it's at 0.5%. What that means is you need 198 million individuals in the US to be immune to reach a herd immunity threshold, what we talked about before, of approximately 60%. Now, this is going to result in several 100,000 deaths as well. So if you look at now, we have 16.7 million cases currently, which is really approximately 5% of the population. And if we even assume that less than 10% of the population has been infected with an infection-induced immunity lasting 2 to 3 years, and unfortunately duration is unknown right now, infection-induced herd immunity is really not realistic at this point to control the pandemic. We really need the vaccine to help reach this herd immunity threshold, but the effectiveness of the vaccine and the vaccine coverage are to be seen. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the topic. I know this is very, very important. Again, herd immunity. We need herd immunity to get rid of this COVID. Just like any other viruses or pandemics that have come in the past, we have developed these vaccines and with herd immunity gotten rid of it. Anyhow, the next topic we're going to talk about is the vaccine itself. It's going to be the Pfizer vaccine that came out. I know there's a Moderna vaccine as well. So first we'll discuss about the Pfizer vaccine. I'm going to talk about the safety and efficacy. So please don't forget to subscribe just so that you can get some more notifications and new topics.